Godyssey, the Gods and the Odyssey. The order of my presentation is author, book summary, worldview, Greek gods, Greek influence, true God, and my thoughts. Author. The author of the Odyssey is Homer. He is most famous for his works on the Odyssey and the Iliad. There is not much known about Homer himself, but it is suspected that he was a Greek man and a blind poet. While there is not enough information about Homer, some people also believe that Homer was not one person, or even a real person well, as we can see how little we know about Homer when there are 7 cities in question about his birthplace. Book. The Odyssey is divided into a total of 24 books. The setting of the book is 10 to 20 years after the Trojan War, and the main characters are Odysseus, his wife Penelope, his son Telemachus, the suitors, and the Greek gods. The main gods who come out in the book are Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, Calypso, and Circe. This book is centered around the journey of Odysseus on his way back home. He struggles to do so and ends up in a challenging journey. Through the book, we are able to witness the growth of the son of Odysseus, Telemachus. He starts out as a young boy who yearns to protect his mother, but cannot, to a man who stands with his father while defeating the suitors. Book summary. The story takes place after the fall of Troy, and many years have passed. Suitors are at Odysseus' house, and they try to woo Penelope, who remains faithful to the end. Odysseus faces various obstacles and temptations on his journey home. He meets Calypso on her island, where he is invited to stay. Athena also helps Telemachus and guides him in his own journey. Through the journey, he meets Nestor and Menelaus, who tells Telemachus that his father, Odysseus, is still alive. Odysseus is rescued from Calypso and her island on Zeus' command. However, at the sea, Poseidon does not have a good relationship with Odysseus, as he had blinded the Cyclops earlier. Along the way home, he meets the royal family of the Phaeacians. He retells his story of his journey, and we learn about his encounters with Calypso, the Lotus Eaters, Cyclops, Circe, the Sirens, and the visit to Hades. Odysseus finally arrives home and works with his son to kill the suitors. The story of the Odyssey is not in chronological order, as it starts at the middle and the beginning parts are told through retelling stories. Worldview. Paganism is seen throughout the literature of the times the Odyssey was written. The religion inside the Odyssey is not true, and also opposite from what the Bible constantly teaches us. We have 2 options about how to believe and understand our God. The first idea is that God is on one side while creation is on the other. God is different from the people on earth and does not live in this world. God here is more distant and separate from our surroundings. Other people believe that all beings are alike. Humanity and gods go together, and they cannot be separated. The gods live and exist in the same world as human beings. The things like angels and demons are also viewed as deities, but for Christians, it is acknowledged that while they do exist, their claims should be denied. The word God comes out in the Bible. It not only represents our true God, but also represents the other gods in lowercase. The Bible can be used as evidence to see that those gods are real, but not real at the same time. The gods were believed and worshipped, but they were also not real, as they are not a real living God. So we as Christians know that gods like Zeus, Poseidon, or Thor should not be entirely dismissed or viewed as only something made up. Books like the Odyssey became the basis of assumptions around the world during the old times. In today's culture, things like movies, books, and songs are what is shaping the world. There are also themes in which the Bible and classic literature overlaps. Through these interactions, we are able to learn about thinking and viewing through a new perspective, which allows us to learn what to acknowledge, but also what to reject in the stories of classic literature. Instead of just adopting the themes without knowing, we should learn to be able to reject them. Greek gods. There are many gods in Greek myths, from major gods to minor gods in total. The most well-known gods and goddesses are Aphrodite, Athena, Artemis, Ares, Apollo, Demeter, Dionysus, Hades, Hera, Hermes, Hephaestus, Poseidon, and Zeus. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty, and she emerged from the sea. Athena is the goddess of reason, wisdom, and war. She is an important leading figure throughout the Odyssey. Artemis is the goddess of hunt, and she does not marry. Ares is the god of war. Apollo is the twin god of Artemis, and he is the god of prophecy, music, and poetry. Demeter is the agricultural goddess and mother of Persephone, who is the wife of Hades. Dionysus is the son of Zeus and immortal mother. He is the god of wine. Hades is the god of the dead, and Hera is the wife and sister of Zeus. She is the queen goddess and also the goddess of woman and marriage. Hermes is the messenger god in the Odyssey, and he is the god of travel and hospitality as well. Hephaestus is the blacksmith and fire god. Poseidon is the god of the sea, horses, and earthquakes. He is also the father of Pegasus and Cyclops. Zeus is the king god and the god of the sky. Greek influence. We can see the influence of Greeks even in our lives today. For example, the names of many famous brands stem from the Greeks. Nike stands for the Greek goddess of victory. Amazon stands for the female warriors. Pandora for the first female mortal in Greek myths, and more. Famous names are also from Greek. Jason is after the Greek hero, Troy after the city. Helen is after Helen of Troy, while Penelope stands for Odysseus' wife. The Olympics also started in Greece in the honor of Zeus. The Greek influence is democracy, the alphabet, libraries, architecture, myths, and theaters. The word alphabet is from the Greek alphabet letters alpha and beta. The first library was built in Egypt under Greek control and is still used today. The Olympics started in Greece, and traditions like lighting flames, celebrations, and more stem from Greece. Through Greek architecture, more pillars and columns were used. The word theater also comes from the Greek word theatron, which represents the section of sitting outdoors to watch plays. The Greek influence also changed philosophy and science. It started reason and inquiry, with observation and logic as well. Famous mathematicians are also Greek: Pythagoras, Euclid, and Archimedes. Oral traditions were the main, but after the Iliad and the Odyssey, poems were written out into text form. In Greek art, sculpture, architecture, and the perfectness of proportion was important. True God. After learning about the Odyssey from a Christian viewpoint, I had time to think about who is the true God and who he is to me. I think the main differences between the Greek gods and our God is that our God is just one being, and he is real and loves without any repayment needed, and he does not let us wander without purpose. The biggest difference may be who the God is to the people. The Greek gods were worshipped and believed, but they did not have this attribute of holiness around them. Not all gods were kind and right, and they made mistakes. Most of all, the gods sinned. Our God does not sin. He is just, faithful, and kind. A God is a being we worship and look up to. So a God must be moral and right and just in many ways. The Greek gods were not so. They ended up fighting for their own good and cared as much about themselves as for the people. And while God is here to also help us, the Greek gods use humans to help them. To the Greek gods, humans were their source of entertainment, their toys. Humans do not mean anything specific to them, and we are basically nothing in front of them. This is different with our God. Our God cares for us and continually helps us. He does not leave us in the dark, but constantly helps each and every one of us to learn and grow. We are His children and His purpose. We are not mistakes, but a way for God's kingdom. I think our relationships with God and God are also different. While people respect and worship gods and God, we only love our God. And God loves us, but it is different with the Greek gods. They do help mortals and guide them, but there is no relationship between them other than that. It is not a relationship without any price, unlike the Christian relationship with God. To me, Greek gods are more like myths, as I did not live in the time they were considered the highest beings. I think Greek gods lack a comfortable relationship with humans, as they are not considered the Father, but just a super being. It is not a warm relationship, but more of a 401, where things need to be done in order to maintain the relationship. On the other hand, I think God is true. He exists even now and will until the end. He is the true God for me and everyone else in this world. God gives us love and sacrifices many things for us. He is our healer, restorer, father, teacher, friend, family, and brother. He is not a distant being, but He lives inside our lives. He loves us for no reason and will love us until the end. He accepts us the way we are, and He is our creator as well. Through our true God, we learn, live, and love. And through Him, we become disciples for the world. My thoughts. Before reading the Odyssey, I was already interested in Greek culture, Greek myths, and Greek gods. I enjoy learning about them and also reading books related to them. Through reading and learning about the Odyssey during omnibus class, I was able to view the story and the meanings behind it through a Christian perspective. I think it was meaningful to do so, since while we do know there is one true God, through the various influences, we can naturally acknowledge those gods to be true. While we can learn many things through the Odyssey, I think it is important to remember that there is only one true God and the differences between our God and the Greek gods. As stated above, to me, our true God is a father-like God who loves us and plans us, and who makes a way for us. Through Him, all things are made, and through Him, all things are true. While I never really thought about other religions, reading the Odyssey allowed me to have time to question other beliefs and look at them through a Christian perspective. After reading the Odyssey through a Christian perspective, I was able to challenge certain views and the beliefs I had. I realized that I just started to acknowledge the presence of Greek gods and did not find anything particularly harmful through it. While learning about Greek gods and Greek culture is important, it is equally crucial to distance myself from my views and the views of the world. I realized I should learn to question instead of just acknowledging everything. I learned the importance of truth, influences, and discernment through reading the Odyssey. While learning about Greek gods and our God and finding the differences, I realized we all hold different values to be true. I decided that I must live with the scripture as my guide and truth, so I would not be swayed by other beliefs that are held to be true. I also learned about influences and how history and culture can be combined and preserved. While the Greeks are from an ancient period, their teachings and cultural themes are still present in the world today. Many things are inspired from history, including the Greeks, which is what I always found as interesting. I also learned the importance of discernment, as the Odyssey is only one of the many books that need to be read from a Christian perspective. Had I not read this or other books from a current perspective, I think it would have been easy to just start to believe what the book is about and adopt the beliefs that come out through the book. We are susceptible to many things, which include books, art, music, and movies. Through culture, we are inspired, motivated, and touched, but it is also a chance for us to adopt unbiblical views naturally. As I plan to study art and stay in the world of culture and the arts, I realize the importance of discernment and truth. I thought that I needed to have my strong views and faith in order to stand firmly and be able to discern what is wrong and right. In today's culture, unbiblical views are melted inside various things from movies, books, and even our own daily conversations. I learned that it is important to think critically and be able to filter what I learn. I thought that visual aspects are one of the things that allows us to be easily confused. I realized I needed to prepare myself as an artist. Yes, it is important to have skills and creativity, but as a child of God, it is also important to have the right mind and share the right message throughout my art. The Odyssey made me look back at how I accept information and made me yearn to prepare myself for the world. Thank you.